Yeah, right.
Yeah, blowing on. All right,
All
so I
right.
think it'll be pretty easy today, Matt. We'll just go over kind of a check-in over the Hamptons over the past year, talk about the getting ready for the spring summer season. And then do you have some listings you can share with us at all, or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Okay.
I just
All
made
right.
you co-host so you can share your screen later.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go live. Whenever you see the live, you can get started.
All right. We'll be ready to go then. Awesome. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ask the Expert with the Martin Eiden team. As you can see in the background here, I'm actually in the office today, which is very exciting. And we have one of our favorite reoccurring guests, Matthew Breitenbach, who is our Compass Hamptons expert. And the month of April here, we're going to be checking in with all the surrounding areas of New York City and kind of check in to see that, now it's been a year since the shutdown and how real estate is going on and what's happening and all that stuff. So Matthew, thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us and give us some insights and scoops and all that jazz.
Thank you, man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. And Matt and I are together on the marketing committee of the sports and entertainment division here at Compass as well, which is always fun to do it. So Matt, yeah, kind of what's going on? You want to do maybe kind of a recap of how the last 12 months have been?
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. It's we're blessed out here in regards to anyone in the real estate industry for what's going on. We've always felt like with what's happened throughout this pandemic to be blessed with the amount of business that's happened in the Hamptons. But, I was on a panel this morning with another real estate attorney. He was joking that, we got to keep the Red Bull flowing out here because we're just ripping, and it stayed pretty active. So, COVID hit and we had a lot of rentals come in, and then all of a sudden this summer, the sales market just went through the roof. And, I like looking back at everything now and then into 2021, I'm like, I've realized that what COVID was not anything new for the Hamptons market, but it was an accelerator. So we saw like an accelerator of trends. So we saw an acceleration of the Hamptons becoming more of a country town, than it was a resort town. I mean, I grew up in the 80s in the Hamptons, early 90s, late 80s, 90s in the Hamptons, and it was a much different town. It was one restaurant in the winter, that was it. It was a summer resort town, that's it. And I think technology and where the world has, people have gradually, and I think the new millennial buyer, right, this like late 30 to late 40 buyer that's come into the Hamptons, and they live differently. They're more lifestyle based, and it's just, you can work from anywhere. And I think even pre-COVID, you saw a lot of people, like we were starting to compete with Greenwich. We're starting to compete with the New York tri-state area of people that were maybe looking for, that wanted to be in and around New York, but didn't want to be like in the city per se 100%. So I actually think the growth in New York City, and I've been really excited for you guys seeing what the market's doing, actually helps the Hamptons, because I think it keeps people around the New York area. And I think it helps the Hamptons buyer. But, we saw the Hamptons market has sustained. We had this COVID rush, and then it peaked in August, and then, it kind of went back to more elevated levels, but still up like a good amount. But I think it was good because we avoided like a bubble, but now it's like settled in. And I would say like the 2021 market's actually probably is better than the 2020 market. There's like less inventory, there is, just the buyers are still there. And I think people are starting to settle into this new world we're in a little bit less fear, vaccine rollout, some of this kind of stuff, where people are here. So, I love the Hamptons year round, and I think it's been nice seeing people love it year round too. But we have like basically two types of people in the Hamptons. You have the resort summer people, which are probably more Europeans, more that like United States, maybe from LA or California or Texas. We get a lot of Texans in the summer, places where it's 100 degrees and you want to go somewhere cool and awesome and like a good place. Hamptons has become a good go-to place for that. And so we have that too, which has helped too. Like people going to Florida from New York actually like I was talking to Ben Moss, Martin, like, and from like the other day, and he was like, my real, and Ben Moss runs the sports entertainment division for Compass and works in some similar fields that Martin and I do, ultra high net worth people. And he was like, his people with Hamptons homes, they're holding the Hamptons, they're not selling it because they want, like, they don't want to be in Miami in like late July, right, or early August. Like they want to, fly up, and obviously be careful tax purposes wise, but they want to, spend time in the Hamptons throughout the summer. So we have the resort buyer, which is usually like 80-90% of your buyer, but now it's like split. You have person that look at the Hamptons as a country town year round, maybe late 30 to late 40, demo, 2 kids, maybe a Range Rover or 2, like it's a very similar demographic, and
no, absolutely.
And so it's good. It's like, I think it's the new local, the Hamptons. The Hamptons is going through change, like the world is. Like the old movie theater in Southampton Village just sold. Like Regal's going out of business, right? Like Regal Theaters. And it's crazy. Like we don't have a movie theater in Southampton, but I actually met the guy. What's cool about the Hamptons has a small town feel too. Like you just go out, and sometimes I don't like going out because I see like half my clients and I see like 3 brokers and I'm like, this, like, you go to the dive bar. I don't want to see anybody, but but like, I met this guy, he just bought it and he's turned into like he's going to try to like make it more of a theater. And then he bought the thing next door and he's going to try to make it into a co-working space. So like in the Hamptons, like they're trying to figure out some of the zoning to maybe evolve, because like with the Amazon effect and some of the retail and all this stuff going on, like there's a lot of shift, but there's like a new local, like when I grew up, there was like 4 different professions that my friends' parents had, it was like real estate or a builder or, in trade or, a teacher or an education or maybe a doctor in medical fields. But, there wasn't like, it wasn't as diverse as like, it was very, very small town. And I think now it's like, there's this new local coming because you can work from wherever, me and my wife have friends with kids that are, hedge fund guys. One of my best friends, one of my best friends that I grew up with was the most New York City guy I've ever met, and went to Columbia. I just went to the city from Southampton. I grew up with him and never came back. Love New York. And I sold him a house pre-COVID and he's set up a whole home office. He's been trading. He jacked up his Wi-Fi. He loves it, wants to upgrade now, so, but people still like to go back to New York to like, they want to be close too. It's changed a lot, but I would say like people are going back too, but I always kind of predicted you see like 50% leave, 50% stay. But I think that the change has been seismic. It's like, it's strong. Like, I think it's, what COVID did was accelerate this trend, and it's not like it's going to evaporate. It's just this new world that we all live in.
That makes sense. That completely makes sense. And I think that's true. I think COVID did a lot of accelerations, right? Like we're Zooming now, and now that's the standard way of doing business. Similarly, people that were in the city that love the idea of living in a city, but candidly, 800 square feet or 1,000 square feet with a family of 4 is just, it's tough. So suddenly that made sense to jump to some of the suburbs, and now all the single people or young couples have taken up those spaces and really like the extra room as the home office or something to that extent. So just as a quick recap then, so when it was the shutdown, were you guys shut down for that second quarter more or less, right? There was not too much going on, and then it opened up, and there was some kind of rentals happening, or
Hamptons got, it was really like thinking about it, and I've been on a couple panels where I've talked about this stuff. It was actually like, you might have heard me say this before, and sorry if I'm repeating myself, but like it was almost like at a time where you actually did feel like essential worker to some degree, like as an agent, first time ever in my career, because it was like people were scared. Like I remember, you guys think back, I mean, you were at ground zero, but New York like got walloped with COVID, and like it just spread like wildfire, and people were scared, and it was spreading, and then people were like, I remember one hedge fund guy was like telling me he wasn't letting his people take the subway, and then I talked to him 2 days later. He was like, I need a house right now, I want to get out. Like they may shut down the city, and it was like, whoa. It was just like, it just was like very intense. And the Hamptons, except for the Hamptons got walloped, like in regard to like all of a sudden we had like an influx of all of a sudden it turned to July, within like 2 days, and
got it.
no one was ready for it. It was like getting punched in the face too. So I think, the first week was really scary though too. It was like what grocery stores had groceries, because
Right.
I heard guys, it's like New York mentality, but some dude spent like 30 grand at Citarella. Like it bought every bagel, he bought every piece of steak, like there's nothing left, like it was like he put the Amex Black down and that was it. There was no half the groceries left, but it was like,
Wow.
it was just grocery stores. And I never remember, like, no one even knew, should we wear a mask? Should you have to wear a mask? Like, what's going on? Like,
How does that
so
work?
it was like,
Right.
but people wanted houses. Like people were driving out here, needed homes, they needed rentals. And then, then I think the sales market, like once people got out here, it made new people enjoy the Hamptons too. Like I remember meeting people over the summer that were like, had always known of the Hamptons and maybe spent some time like elsewhere, but like we're out here for those couple months. Like that period was very important because I think it accelerated. It made new buyers. There was people that always, like I said, were here that wanted to accelerate that trend, but I think the new people were like, wow, like this is pretty great, Like I never talking to one of my hedge fund clients, and again, he needed a whole team he's like a big trader. Like he was struggling with the Wi-Fi. I don't even know what the hell they did. He probably had to put a new cable in the way this guy trades, but he was like, it was like the Hamptons. I was on this panel this morning with the Southampton Press with the other local agents who were talking about this. Like the new Hamptons buyer, it's funny. It's like the Hamptons used to be very society, like who's got the flashiest car, who's got the most money, who goes to the coolest parties, like these really like society events. And it's like over the years, and I would say like it's just about our generation like coming in. I think it's just shifted where some of that's still there, but it's really more about family and lifestyle. It's got like very rooted in family and like and living and how you live. And like it's like people have chosen the Hamptons for a lifestyle. Like they just like that country lifestyle, but it's very elevated. It's very like Aspen like, but by the beach, right? Like it's like that,
right?
And I made it, it's like people enjoy, like they're driving it, like my kids go to school in Butter Lane in Bridgehampton. It's across the street from a nursery, a big farm, and it's like it's cool. It's a cool lifestyle, but it's like, it's an elevated area though too, with like, so it has this country feel, but it has like New York makes the Hamptons. Without the New York City and that New York like grit and vibe and energy, it's not as cool. But it has that kind of influx of New York. But it's cool. Like you're driving your kids to school through the farms and you can still be connected. It's pretty awesome,
Oh, that's great. No, that I think that's what everybody likes, is having that connection as well. So do you guys have stats like year over year? What price is up? Do you have a percentage or something? Or
yeah, I should have prepared more for that. But I mean, I would say that the pricing is up about a quarter, like 25%. You could see like give or take, and I think sales have remained above 100% up on volume in a lot of ways in different aspects. And
wow,
I think you're seeing, like I would say the Hamptons was more affected with buyer volume than it was price.
interesting.
So it's like like halfway through COVID, actually, my team like. I was frustrated. Like I lost a couple of deals and I was like, everyone's selling everything. What's going on? And like, we kind of pivoted and we just lost a listing because of this, and a big one, like a $20 million one, but some broker's blowing smoke that he's going to get $20 million. I'm like, you're going to get 16. Right. Like, and he bought it for 17 pre-COVID. I'm just telling you, like, I'm just telling you where this thing's going to trade. Right. So it's like, I think like it depends on what it is. But the buyers are there and they're very smart. But if you have the right product at the right price, like then it will get bid up, and those where the bidding wars come from. And I've been in a bunch of those, but it's really been more about like the type of inventory it is, and then like where that price is, where that strike price is. And I think it's not like, sellers that come to me and be like, I want to put my house on for like twice the amount of money. Like, I'm like, no, but like also depends on but we could also look at it. If it's like a new construction or something, you may be up in that 25 to 35%. Like influx, but if you're like, a resale or something like that, it's a different play, but
got it.
There's just a lot of activity, a lot of transactional volume, like just even from the developers that are much more bullish, and like even them that they've helped the resale or tear down market right in the Hamptons. Like there's not much land left, so people will buy like something to rip down these developers, and they used to buy like wholesale. And now in
Okay.
COVID, post-COVID, kind of this arena, they're more of like they'll buy market value because they
Got it.
believe in that. And the new construction market's just been firing. But this market's like, I think it's better now than it was in 2020 because I think we're kind of into this, like there's less fear. Some of the vaccine rollout, it's kind of found
Right.
that's what I mean. Like it like went nuts. And I'm glad it kind of found a more, it's like running on the
Stable.
treadmill at 10 miles an hour. And now we're at like an elevated jog, we're like the
You can do
valet
it the
jog,
same.
we're like
You're
moving,
right.
we're not walking, we're valet jogging, so it's still got that.
That's really funny. That's
Yeah.
really funny. So, I mean, that's really good to hear. So, people that are still interested in buying in the Hamptons, prices are up, but it's not like, oh my God, everything's doubled and I'm priced out of the market per se, right? There's still stuff out there for people if they want to come out.
Yes, it's like I did a video the other day. I got a lot of play on Instagram. I put on Reels. Like I was like kind of three tips for buyers, and I was like, if you're selling your house, like if you want to sell, like don't try to thread the needle. It's very hard to thread the needle. Like you'll figure something out, like trying to put the buy in front of it. But it's also it's not a bad time to buy. Like I
Right.
think there's good opportunities out there still. You need obviously good representation to find you, but there's a lot of stuff coming on the market. There's design and builds with builders that I think are still a good news. It's like you need some good guidance through it and through there's a lot of wash out there, and it's a very high paced market. Like, especially if you're looking to maybe do a project or a tear down, that's a whole different realm of things. I mean, I heard, just heard that this listing came out of the Village that had 15 offers on it for like 1.5 million. It was like a tear down situation, so it's a high velocity market, but there's good opportunities that are still coming on at good prices. They're just going to move fast, and you got to be ready. You got to be like strapped in, ready to rock. Like you got to be able to move, like you got to,
Right.
move
fast.
if you're ready to buy, like you just prepare. You're getting in a roller coaster ride, and it's gonna rip, and it's hang on tight, but it can happen. But it's not a bad time to go after it. Like, and I still think the Hamptons will continue to appreciate. It's not peaked by any means, right? Like it's not. It's just at elevated pace. What goes up must come down, of course. Like it will slow further. Real estate's all cyclical. We all know that as being agents, right? It's gonna, but the Hamptons, like when it slows, it usually slides. There's not really these big, like I've been doing this 15 years. Like it will come, it will kind of start, you'll see like a slow drip slide, and then after the slow drip slide, then it will increase from there, so.
That makes sense. Well, you know what? That's a great segue. We're already into it, 20 minutes. You want to share the screen and show us some stuff that's out there?
Sure.
And give us, you can go in any order. Usually I like to save the big exciting properties for last, but it's up to you.
All right, hold on. Try to do this here. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Share. There we go. So I'll just bring up my website here.
There
we go. Might be easy. So I don't know what order you want. I don't want to be too big and whatever, but
whatever you want to do, give us like a little sampling or maybe some of your favorite, what I guess you would, what you consider good value in different price points. So the floor is yours, so to speak.
Yeah, I'll put a house that I think, we put on. I mean, this is a good example of something that can get priced up in the COVID Hamptons market because, one, it's very compounding, which has come back in. Like it's built for large family, extended family, kids. It's got the tennis. It's got a pool cabana. It's got a 9,600 square foot house. It's got a detached garage,
Beautiful.
2-car garage. And probably a pre-COVID market, you're probably talking about maybe something that's $2 million less or so, right? But I think because of the demand, and there's also no inventory in Southampton Village. This is in Southampton Village. There's not really turnkey inventory, and there's not turnkey inventory with tenants at a high level design. So,
Got it.
it's actually a builder. He actually does a lot in New York, Martin. He's done big buildings. This is his third house out here. He's done 2 other projects that have sold. What I've always loved about him is he develops a house that has like an edge to it. It's traditional. He's a traditional kind of guy, but they just, as you can see, like he layers in with art, and they're traditional, but have like a very kind of cool aesthetic to them. And
very nice.
Yeah. it's this big open, this is kind of the Hamptons floor plan. And,
Mhm.
I don't know if this might be kind of information, but, the open floor plan of the Hamptons, some of the Hamptons new construction can look very similar, but it's just because like people live a very certain way out here and they like this, like, see how this flows from the breakfast room, living room, and then in the back you have kind of the family room.
Got it.
People like if someone's in the kitchen, you have kids or you're entertaining guests, like there's space for it to breathe, but then you also have compartmentalization at the same time, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's the flow and it's very easy and big doors and windows bringing the outdoors in at least 6 months of the year. So I think that makes sense for me. And I like the idea too that it's a whole compound, right? You've got the pool house, you've got the pool, you've got the tennis court. I saw that there's even a playground there for kids.
Yeah, then the New Hamptons buyer, like I said, like we've had a changing of the guard of like these more of the 3-month Hamptons people to like the year-round, more country town Hamptons people, and I think they're more into, a lot of younger families, and they like entertaining at home. Like they like having the families over, like having the kids over. Again, it's kind of rooted into this more family environment, which is interesting, or lifestyle. But it's like it's not as much as like people going out to dinner and the restaurants do well. Like, but it's just not about. It's more about like entertaining at your house a lot. Like
Right.
not going out as much, and having people over, good wine, good food. Like it's just. With in the family, it's just more about that lifestyle, a little bit more like lower profile, if anything. People come here for lower profile more so than just like for 3 months to be seen, to say they were there, to say they had a house there or whatever, right? Like where the Hamptons kind of got its name to fame. But now it's more, which I think has come with the newer money buyer and a new generation of Hamptons people. But
right.
This house was actually published in the New York Times because of its lower level. A couple of years ago when he finished this. So the Times did a piece on like lower levels and lower finished basements. And it's kind of this guy's thing. And you come down the steps and you have this wine cellar. This is all glass on the one side coming down the steps. So you kind of look into your wine cellar. And then you have,
nice.
Just 12-foot ceilings. You can see he even trade this. You can see his attention to detail. He's got an art. He's got a full gym. I mean, these are all good things to look at too because of the Hamptons, right? It's be kind of like you can stay in this house and not leave as long as you got groceries for a long time. Like you have everything.
Be all self-contained.
All in thing, and it's kind of like its own Manhattan building in its own, right? Like I think it adds a little bit of the vibe. Great theater, fantastic theater. Some more of the basement here. Here's that with the wine cellar and obviously your master, some of your bedroom, bathroom details and whatnot too. So. That's a really good one in the village that I think is really great for somebody,
Right. For the whole compound type thing. What else do you want to show us, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you this other one in a similar price point, but I think it's a good way to look at because it's a different area and like
this is
Amagansett, Montauk.
Contrast.
Yeah, so Southampton's more of your traditional, but still a lot of younger buyers, it's still that same demographic, but they're still driving that market, but just, don't get me wrong too. Like, I'm not like an ageist, there's like all sorts of, the Hamptons is spread all over the place. But
there's something for everybody, right?
Yeah. This demographic, I will say the demographic that's driving it is this like late 30 to 50, it's probably 80% of your buyer, but they are driving the market different ways. But if you go out to Amagansett and Montauk, you have this influx of modern, it's like kind of the Malibu area of the Hamptons.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's just a much more demand for the modern, a little bit more of the water, modern aesthetic, just complete modern home. You can see, so this house is pretty cool. So this is the ocean. So this is Old Montauk Highway. I don't know if you guys know where Gurney's is, but Gurney's is back over here.
Okay.
So this guy would actually give you a Gurney's beach pass. If you bought the house, he'd give you his membership. He has a pass to Gurney, so he goes there for it's just he uses the Gurneys all the time,
Okay. Very nice.
Which is nice, and you have access to their beach club and whatnot. In the Hamptons, the zoning laws and whatnot, we sometimes get caught into you know, you have to kind of get creative sometimes in the way you can build. And what's cool about this house is actually they put the pool on the roof, which is kind of Manhattan-like, Martin, which maybe appreciate. But
Right.
the roof, he's got a roof pool, which is pretty unique up top, as you can see here. And it gave it more aesthetic kind of going forward. So it opened up, you know, they can get more footage, and that's your pool. And
That's amazing.
You're
And the
overlooking,
view.
you know, the ocean. It just gives you great views. It's a great spot, you know. You can see the view from the top deck there.
Absolutely amazing. So kind of what's the compare and contrast? Is this, you know, is the first house more of kind of like a compound extended family, and this is more
Yeah, this would be more of your compound vibe, you know. And I think this is not more your compound vibe. This is more of like a modern, you want to be your ocean, you know, you're more into that Montauk, Amagansett lifestyle. You kind of want more of that
surfer
vibe.
guy.
Like Amagansett Montauk has that Malibu feel. It has a little bit more of that surfer feel. It's a really cool area. It's like, you know, I would always say like, all right, it's a little bit more like vintage Land Rover and revamped Bronco than Ferrari, you know, like it's just more that vibe. But the guys are probably just have just as much money, a little bit more tech investor, you know, like those kind of guys.
I was just gonna say it feels more techy.
Yeah. Actually, big tech investor rented this house last year. Two of them were bidding at the same time, which is always interesting. But it this rented during COVID for $500,000, like, and it was a bidding war, and they both had option to buys on them, and that's why we brought it to market, because the action on it in that regard. But you know, and then I think with Southampton is a little bit more, if you want a little bit more of that tennis, you know, the finished lower level, a little bit more space and footage. Like this one is a little bit more like, yeah, you could definitely hole up here very easily and comfortably. But I think it's more of like, all right, you want that water feel. You're a little bit more of that, you know, the water is a little bit more important to you. You know, and Montauk's fun too. Like there's just great, cool restaurants. It's a different feel, you know, like these great little spots, you know. You're close to Amagansett too, and all that it offers as well. So
that's great. Well, you know, that's one of the things a lot of people forget about the Hamptons, is that it's not just one town. There's a bunch of towns, and each one has a little bit different flavor with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So we're almost actually out of time, if you can believe it. Do you want to show us maybe kind of a like one of these mid-level ones real quick that you think would be fun to take a look at?
Yeah, sure. Let me see if there's one. I mean, this
I like
is a
that
cool
one.
little.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The lit up, this one, the one with the
lights, that
or
one
this?
I like. Yeah,
yeah. So this one's cool. I mean, this one is actually developed by a you know, big celebrity fund. You know, it's got a couple NBA guys.
Right.
Since we're both in the division, maybe it's a good one to end on and talk about. So a guy runs a guy named David Gross. You guys, everyone can look him up. Forbes actually did an article on him. He runs a firm called Confluent Development, and you know, this is one of the projects. We sold two of the other projects for them. You know, it shows that, you know, you know, investors and developers help the Hamptons market. You know, there's a lot of money to be made. You know, I always say real estate's the best investment in the world. And, you know, you can make some nice margins out in the Hamptons if you do it right. And they came in here, this is their third project, you know, and it's a really cool modern home. And, you know, we get more hits on this right now than ever. And I'm trying to get them, we're close to a deal you know, on it, and we're trying to get it negotiated, but it's, you know, it's just a very, very cool house. And it also shows you, this is in an area of like Sag Harbor, Bridgehampton, and Watermill. There's these like north of the highway areas. So these are like pretty far from the ocean actually, and they're more wooded. And these areas traditionally, like I've been doing this 15 years, like 10 years ago, we're not like nearly where they are now. And I think some of the newer money buyers that have come in are more into these areas, way more so. I think they're, you know, they don't mind being a little bit more secluded. They don't mind being a little bit more wooded areas. They feel like they get more bang for your buck because, you know, you put this house in a different location, it could be double the cost for what it is.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you still get a big compound. You have the pool house, you have the tennis. It's a real beautiful house, really modern. This is the whole master suites upstairs, outdoor fireplace. This is kind of your kitchen area. And then it kind of tiers up. Your bedrooms are up. And then you kind of have this third floor master. It's got an elevator that goes up and down. You got a pool house here with a bath. You got a great kind of like almost like a roof deck area, but kind of, it's a lot of site work they did, which they did a good job with, where this upstairs area is really great for entertaining. You can see it here a little bit, as it's set up. You got great outdoor areas, grill here. You can see this is kind of an outdoor dining room here. And then there's your master, like I said, with the outdoor area. And then you got nice here, and then the property goes all the way back, coming back. But what's cool is that this is the one area of the Hamptons where you have some elevation. Like most of the Hamptons, like if you're looking at your Waze or your GPS or whatever, you're driving around most of the Hamptons, like, how it says like sea level height?
Right.
It's like 0. Most of it's like 0, 0, 1. Like if you come over here, it will, you can see like you're up, it comes up a little bit, right? And this is all Peconic Bay back in here, and you can see it on a lot of days. So the sun sets kind of west right here and opens up this whole sky. And this is the North Fork of Long Island, like across the way from you.
That's amazing.
Kind of looking out this way. So it's pretty cool. This is your outdoor fireplace up in the master, what that view looks like. You can see some of these outdoor entertainments. So it's a very open, like you see, like even if it's modern or traditional, like open is very big in the Hamptons. That open floor plan is a big deal.
That makes sense.
See if I can find.
Well, Matt, if you can believe it, we are pretty much out of time. The time always goes so fast with you. It's always great to see all these properties and everything.
Yeah, no, man. Thanks for the invite, always.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining in with Ask the Expert with Matthew Breitenbach with the Hamptons. And again, Matt, we'll have some clips on this and your name on it. So if anybody has any questions, please reach out to Matthew. So thanks again for everybody. And we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Martin.
All right. Hold on.
Well, guys.
Matt.